Meeting to order, the School District of Bayfield Board of Education, Monday, March 11th at 6 o'clock. Linda, can you do a roll call, please?
Nicole Boyd. Here. Glenn Carlson.
Here.
Larry Darity.
Here.
Cindy Garrity. Here. Craig Whitman. Doug Knopf.
Here.
Rocky Tribovich.
Here.
And can you confirm the meeting postings?
Yes, I can confirm that the meeting agenda was posted in all the designated locations.
All right. I'm looking for approval of the agenda.
Oh, pledge.
Oh, I skipped the pledge, sorry. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, now I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Audience, we have time for any communications, written or spoken.
Anybody sign up?
Frankie.
Hi.
Hi.
Do I have my microphone?
Yes, please.
My name is Frankie Flores, and this is Sophie Murphy. And today we would like to propose our senior class trip. So we're planning to the May 15th and come back May 16th. We're going to plan on having a walk-in in the school gymnasium and then going to the Valley Fair. If those dates don't work, though, we'll be planning on going the 17th to 18th.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
That's this one.
Sounds like fun. Is,
Oh, that's high school band.
no, is there anything?
No, just the
we need
senior
to-
class came forward, and Frankie is the president, I believe.
Yeah.
And they wanted to just let the board know, let the community know about their senior class trip that's planned, and it's based on the funding that they've raised over the last few years, and they're excited to go.
Yeah, very excited.
Great,
Perfect.
yeah.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Have a great time.
Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else? All right, we need to approve the school board minutes of February 11th.
So move.
Motion made by Rocky,
Second.
second by Larry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Was any discussion or any items of concern?
Did, 9.1, was I the one that approved the vouchers?
Blended.
Yeah, I just thought that was.
That's actually correct. You're correct.
You might have
No,
seconded
you did
it.
not.
Oh, okay. I was saying, I don't think I did.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a correction.
So I'm not sure who.
I think you seconded it. The bills got paid though, right? That's a good thing.
Okay, okay. Communication and reports. First item on that list is Shelley and Missy to talk to us about academic achievement.
I met with the ELA teachers who have submitted their 2019-2020 proposals for classes next year. We had some that was kind of overlapping with our new intro and higher ed and our old college prep, and so the English teachers have been working on which classes of which ones they'll improve on, so that we're meeting more of the students next year. Pete Ross began working with my math teachers. We came in 2 weeks ago, met with them. He's coming in Wednesday afternoons to support and give suggestions to also better meet the needs of our math students. I'll be meeting with Dan Livingston and Ann Zellman tomorrow to develop a preliminary 1920 schedule to move people around in the weekend most. And academically, the ACT assessment, we have a junior home in the building, so it freed up the teachers in the high school to assist where needed to help with all the operations of the testing. And it seemed to be pretty successful, and the students who weren't attending were really cognizant why they weren't here, and I think looking forward to when they get their free testing day without the others in the building. teachers.
All right, thank you.
Some packets for you. First thing, if you haven't heard, with our nomination, we were in the paper today,
That
or
was-
Saturday's papers.
That was perfect.
I didn't see.
I did. Good article.
One more.
You got one?
Thanks.
All right, so in our packet here, in the packets, RTI has met and we've done our perception surveys and our school-wide implementation review. That's kind of a way of analyzing where we're at in our implementation for academics and kind of gives us a big picture of collaboration and leadership along with our academics, K-12. So we've completed that and now we're starting to look at the data and the information provided by staff and doing some action planning. So that's kind of where we're at. And out of that came that top sheet, which is the 6-week student progress report. So in the elementary, that was one of the areas we found. We heard a lot of parents saying, well, we just want to know where our kids are at and why are they in a tier 2 group. And so this progress report every 6 weeks will go home to share just data and information with families. So there's that line of communication going back and forth.
Great.
The next document you'll find in your folder is something that we've needed for a long time within the district. Since I've been here, we haven't had anything. But K-12, this is a nice curriculum review cycle. So looking at our core content areas along with our encore classes or your music, arts, and specialty classes and how they cycle through. So we have it on a 6-year cycle. So you'll see that first year. So next year, looking at having our math committee, if you turn the page in that packet, I've also put together like preliminary committees. This isn't set in stone. This is just something that I've developed here. And Shelley and I are just still in the works of reviewing things and just solidifying this process. But kind of those are our committees that we're going to tap into for analyzing and looking at the standards and looking at piloting curriculum resources and so on. And that next page, this was a suggestion from Nicole to add an addendum with our current materials. So you'll find in the next 2 or 3 pages the publishers, the series, copyright, and which grade levels. Those are our current materials that we're using for math, science, social studies, health. It's not comprehensive yet. I'm still waiting for science in the high school. They're using online textbooks. So that is not on there yet. So I'm waiting just for that link. So some of this might be updated and changed, but this is just a process and a start. The point of this is to begin aligning our funding and professional development to this process. So we have, it's more purposeful for our planning each year as we do this planning and purchasing CISA contracts and all of that good stuff. So it aligns well with that. All right. The last thing in your packet is a proposal or a suggestion. Like Shelley said, juniors don't come to school for ACT testing. I'm proposing that possibly we do that for K-1-2 not coming to school on April 11th and 12th, so that our 3rd through 5th grade students can complete the forward exam. And in there, that proposal, it gives the 3rd through 5th grade students the opportunity to know how important the forward exam really is. It gives them that conducive, quiet environment that they need, and the availability of staffing to provide that small group time. And it works out that April 11th and 12th is our kindergarten orientation or enrollment days. So our kindergartners are already not here, so I'm just proposing maybe 1st and 2nd grade as well not be here so we can focus on testing those 2 days. Just a thought, but I would like your blessing to do that and send a letter home immediately so parents can plan. I know it is a change in our community for parents to think about, and just wondering what your thoughts are on that.
I think it's a good idea.
Does that impact the days of attendance with the calendar this year? Would we need to make
Elementary's
those
always
up?
over the number of minutes,
Is it?
because it goes by
Okay.
minutes, not necessarily days. And
Okay.
we're always over minutes.
Okay, good.
I
So
would
it
say my
shouldn't, but
okay-
I will double check that just to make sure.
I would say as far as the school board level, we can give the approval to have administration work it out with you guys. Make it happen.
All right, we'll do that.
Okay. All right, any questions on any of the other materials? The curriculum review cycle?
It's so good to see that.
And again, it's a work in progress. We're just starting that, so if you have
Yeah.
any suggestions for Shelley and I, just send them our way and we'll definitely,
It's a good article. Congratulations to everybody.
yeah. So that application is out. I'm just waiting to hear back from DPI. Our first draft had to be submitted March 1st. They edit, they correct the application. It ended up being about 20-page paper. And I should hear how they as in DPI's suggestion of how we are doing, because they're of course hoping that we get the award as well. So I should know, I'm hoping by the end of the week, because I have to submit the final to the government the end of the month, not like April or March 20th, I mean, something like that. So coming up, it's a quick turnaround. And we won't know until the fall. So, all right.
Thanks, Miss.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shelley.
Thank you. We also have Ron talking to us about the band trip in 2020.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'll try to, my voice gone for about 2 months, so for the best I can here.
Oh,
Talk to
use the mic, yeah.
I'm not really seeking final approval for a trip right now. I'm just seeking for approval to begin the groundwork and the fundraising and the planning for a youth from April, early May of 2020. Got my outline is in the packet. I'd like to focus on the first 3 items on there, which are costs, how much deposit it's due for each student. And the third item is how we are going to finance this trip. Each kid has their own individual band or choir account. Any money they raise goes in their personal account to pay for the trip. We expect 30, 40 students who want to go. I ask them once a week. Doesn't want to go, no one responds. So they all look forward on working toward the trip. Like last time, we raised funds through candy bar sales, raffles, bake sales, car washes, larger. We had a gala last time we raised money. And we're trying to do less in the community this time. It's a small community. They are hit pretty hard for fundraising. We're trying to avoid that as much and put it more in the kids' hands to raise their money for themselves.
When was your last trip, Ron?
It was 2
Six-
years ago in April.
16 then, or
Yes. No.
17?
70. Yes.
Okay, and where did you go then?
New York City.
New York, okay. So this is just your preliminary,
Yep, just an outline of what we're looking at doing. And we'll narrow it down to what we can do. I always look for cheaper free things like the John Muir National Forest down there. And we can put some nature excursions in there. We'll do the San Francisco, Alcatraz and show and Fisherman's Wharf. One concert, one food.
So Ron, does each student have to raise that $1,679?
Yes, we do that as a group, pretty
Okay.
much, but I'm encouraging the kids to raise the first $500 on the go.
Okay.
Many of the kids have that money already in the band account. My fear is they use that money in the band account, and the rest is doing nothing left. So some foresight of, I'm gonna raise that money, working the job for that first deposit, and the rest we raise as a group.
Thanks.
It's gonna give them some life experience of learning how to plan ahead.
So the school district doesn't subsidize this
No.
trip? Okay.
What's the total cost of the trip?
Well, $1,675 per kid times.
40 kids?
Times 40 kids.
50 grand. roughly.
So when do you need the final count for students?
September,
September
Yeah.
of this year?
next school year, yes.
Next school year.
Yes. I've been telling the kids now to work, down payment, October 1st of 2019.
It's a good opportunity for kids. It's a good opportunity for kids.
Oh, it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've been doing it here for,
A lot of cultural.
we've been doing it here for how many years? We've been doing it here for many years.
Years.
Yeah.
Is the parking, AppleFest parking part of that?
Yes. Yep. And on trip years, we also have, we have concession stands during that. Apple crisp and however else we can do the whole weekend. I think the last trip here, we made $14,000 on AppleFest weekend. So we're lucky in Bayfield to have that opportunity to raise money that way.
You know, for chamber years ago, we discount?
Yes.
Do we need to approve this or anything?
Just give an update.
I think tonight was more information, but Mr. Borchards, would you think after next Apple Fest in October, you can come back and give another report? Maybe give us an idea
Oh,
of,
absolutely. Yeah.
give the board
So
an
I
idea
just
where
want
they're at.
to move ahead with planning and fundraising. I'm looking forward to that.
Yep.
Good stage where we're at. End of the school year and again, start of next, see those
So-
benchmarks, see where we're at.
So final question for me anyway. So any type of fundraising activity, the board does approve that activity, so Randy can then start that whole process. Do you have that completed yet? Is there an account already set up, or does that have to be approved for this trip?
We have that activity account
Just the
already.
van.
So we're okay at this point, Randy? We don't have to worry about that? So you're already set with your account?
Yeah. And then I keep track myself of all the student
Yep.
accounts, what they've done in a spreadsheet, how much
Yeah.
each kid worked, and they keep track of.
So at this point, there is no board action that needs to be taken, other than you're providing information?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Ron. Thank you.
yeah, thank you. All right, we're going to table the last item there
Okay.
of LCO.
Yeah, they notified us today that they have a member who's ill, and they want to come up as a full team to talk to the board, so they'll do that in April.
All right, all right. Okay, we'll go on to 8.1.1. Do any members have future agenda items they'd like to put out for us? No? Okay. 8.1.2, is there a finance committee report?
Finance committee met and we reviewed vouchers. We considered the proposal from Stramberg that's in our packet tonight. We considered the MOU between Bayfield School, Ashland School, and MMC. I believe that's also on the agenda. And we looked at some cost for roofing, architect for the school and the rec center. And we had a discussion on the budget, which I don't think is on the agenda, but the committee has recommended to have some work groups with those board members and the administration. They would be posted as open meetings to have some more time and availability to have budget input and review
Oh, good.
prior to it coming to the committee and going to the board.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Policy committee, did they meet? There you go.
Yeah, we met.
We did.
God, how come I'm on so many committees? We discussed the high school dual credit program policy to include some of our middle school programming. That's on there tonight also. Again, we reviewed the Stramberg proposal for both policy and finance. And we did have a discussion with some school board reps or some school representation that was there on the hiring policy and the Neola process and where we are in that.
Yeah.
And so, we did talk with Jeff to have him connect with Chris regarding a plan to move the Neola policy approvals forward.
So they're kind of in a, they're kind of being held in a transition process right now, is that how I understand the Neola? And then they have to be moved actually into that formal template in our system? Is that what happens? Yeah? Okay.
And we're looking at going back to the committees and doing section at a time again to update like the 1000 series, 2000 series.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also looking at putting on a third person.
Yeah. So
Yes.
with Stephanie leaving, we're down to 2 on the policy committee,
Oh,
so.
boy. Okay. Okay.
I'm looking at this side of the table.
Yeah.
And you're sitting in that seat there.
Oh, is that why that got changed?
So we'll have to motion or make a decision on that soon. So
Well, and since the,
the agenda, yeah.
We can put that on
So
next
is that a
month.
future agenda item? Future
Yeah,
agenda
future
item
agenda.
is to add to the
Appoint,
policy
yeah.
committee?
But is there consensus? I'm gonna say yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really need a motion, we just need to.
So can we add that tonight, or we got a future?
We
meeting?
can't add it on the
Yeah.
agenda, but we can have a consensus
Okay.
to move forward. And officially, it can be done in April.
Okay.
Congratulations.
yeah. Yeah.
I just want to revisit the Neola really quickly.
Okay.
So last summer, the policy committee went through all 400-plus policies of Neola. They met for 4 nights in July and August. So what they did is they went through every policy in Neola. And so the idea was to take that booklet of policies from Neola and to transfer them over to our policies and take our old policies out. Now, if there's 1 or 2 of our policies we want to stay in, we can do that. But where we're at now is the policy committee would take, say, the 1000 series and the 2000 series. It could be like, instruction and, whatever the other policies are in terms of administration. And then we'll bring those policies to the full board, say in April. We'll bring the 1000 series and the 2000 series. If you approve that, then the next month they'll meet, we'll go through series 3000 and 4000.
Mhm.
And in May, we'll bring them forward, and in June, we'll finish up with the last ones. The goal last year was to have this completed by July 1, before we go into next year. So I will connect with the policy committee, and if we look at meeting before the next policy meeting, we'll set up a meeting to do that for this purpose. And what do you guys think of that?
Just to make it clear on Glenn, you're gonna have the policy committee before the board meeting for official approval.
Right.
Glenn can be there, but he can't be part of the recommendation vote.
Until we officially bring it on
Right,
board.
but all it is recommendations
That's
to
all it
committees.
is. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
I'll send out an email on that. Thank you.
Okay, how about the nutrition committee? Have they met since our last board meeting?
The Wellness Committee.
The wellness committee, sorry, we should change that on the agenda,
We
huh?
actually just met today.
Okay.
And
How's the food?
had a good meeting, and are going to would like to have on the agenda at the next board meeting a discussion and consideration of possibly hiring a half-time person to coordinate all of the garden activities, including the Ameriprise person. So, Missy, was there anything else that you thought we should bring up at this point?
That's it.
So
Just
that'd be
that position.
another position beyond AmeriCorps?
Yes.
So 2 would have, okay.
What would be the estimated cost of that?
It was about 8.
It was 12 to 18,000,
12 to
what
18,000.
what they were looking at for halftime, but I think there still needs to be some more. Yeah. Yeah, it was the range, 12 to 18,000. So, yeah, it's still a work in progress.
Pretty good garden.
And you gave a draft, job description of responsibilities that position would have, which was pretty significant, and it was They would have an educational component in the classrooms, they would work with the kitchen, they would work with third parties. They would have cultural responsibilities and working with the larger Bayfield community. It was pretty comprehensive.
That was from that last month's presentation, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, we asked them to come with a description, so they
Good.
did.
Right.
Good.
And the primary focus would be more of a middle school, high school, because AmeriCorps focuses so much on the elementary level. So that would complement the upper end that we're sort of missing out.
Sure. Sure.
So from a procedure standpoint, when we get into the budget, then if we add that in as another halftime FTE, then we would then proceed from there to look at job description and other things. But before we can do that, we have to get it approved in next month's preliminary budget.
So the general outcome of it would be, I could understand the academics part, but also on the gardening part, that's to help the kitchen with whole foods, good food, to supplement.
Partly, yeah.
So that's the income side of the school. We already know the expense side. And academics is income side too. I mean, that's
Right.
a positive. Okay.
Okay, so there's a future
Yeah.
agenda item for next
Have to come
month.
out there and raise it.
You can't do that.
Why?
Hmm?
You do that.
We have to work on the budget discussion, work it
Well,
in.
to roll it into the budget discussion, have it not be standalone thing.
Right. Okay. Okay. Okay, 8.2 reports. We have a motion to accept reports and I believe let's include the LaPointe School Committee minutes and the athletic report that you received
Tonight.
tonight.
So moved.
Second.
A motion to approve and second. Is there any discussion?
I would just like to thank Randy for her detailed report on potential for the upcoming budget and some pretty significant impacts that are very large, just so the district understands how large of impacts we're looking at, particularly health insurance.
And then also, with my report, there was the information for the RFP that was put on, or no, was included in your budget? The RFP for, for the health insurance?
For the trust? No.
Oh,
Yeah, it was additional on top, yeah,
The-
right here.
The trust? This
Right,
one?
so, CISA is bidding out the contract, right now we're with WPS Insurance. And so, the last meeting I went to, Ashland is bringing a delegation of employees so that they can be involved with the RFP process for that. And so I was hoping that that we could also include employees so they see what the changes are coming. Some of the things that they were talking about is also like now it's, you're looking at wider networks, everybody's covered. Well, the trend in healthcare now is going to smaller networks so that you're funneling your employees to fewer providers so that those providers get more of your money kind of thing. So there's a lot of different trends in healthcare that is happening that I think our employees really should be involved with also. Also, I included what our fund balance is as of right now with the trust fund. We're at a little over 200,000. They want us over, at least over $1.5 million to have in our fund balance. So we know with going to the trust, it was going to be a long-term goal. So once we get those fund balances higher, we can take hits better without having to pass along those high, like 10% cost increases. So that's really why we have to start beefing up our fund balance now, so we can even out what we pay in the future.
When is that meeting? Do you have a date yet for the next?
I don't, there's a timeline on some which I gave you. Is that timeline?
There's a finalist presentation April 11th.
Yep. So that's, so they'll do the screening and stuff, and then we'll be involved in the finalist presentations. That's where we can start coming in and listening to those presentations.
That's on April 5th,
Yeah.
the presentations?
Mhm.
So what would be the best plan to get a committee of staff?
I think just see who, decide how we want, which employee groups we want, obviously by the number of teachers should have the bigger group, and support staff have just a percentage of the group, so we have every group covered.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, Larry's on the CISA board, so maybe he should be involved too.
We just talked about insurance too at the last meeting.
Yep. So just from there, see who's interested, and maybe go to the different unit, staff members to see who wants to be part of that.
Will you do that? Will you
Yep,
be doing
I can
that?
do that.
Okay.
Any other board member want to be part of it? Because this impacts, I mean, every year changes of insurance is catastrophic. It's like this. So, I mean, just so the employees are protected and the school district is protected, we want
That
to spend
sounds
our
like-
money the correct way.
Something you could have a lot of input in.
I'd love to do it.
Yeah, definitely. The more, the merrier, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think that's a good, to see the big picture compared,
So
because
then
you've
I'd be
been
with-
here a number of
I'd
years.
be with Larry.
Yep.
You and Larry? Mhm.
No,
Does anybody else want?
no,
Oh, you're smoking your truck.
no, but I roll the window down. You're not on the wellness committee.
As you guys noticed, I'm on every committee, so I'm not volunteer.
Thank you
for
for
you.
putting all this together and bringing it to our attention, Randy.
And I thought the fund balances were interesting on that sheet, because the other big.
Ashland? Yeah.
They're gonna be hit hard this year with an increase, so.
I just,
Yeah, they started with an 800,000 deficit, and
Yeah.
they're projecting to, or
Yeah.
I guess they brought it down by 300,000.
Right.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
just have a couple words. So we talked about budget process, and Randy and I would be willing to have any board members work with us, including administrators. And the reason I'm bringing this up, I put it in my report, is that if you have an interest, if we have 2 board members, it's not a quorum. We can
No.
sit in the office and look at things. If there are 3 of you or more, then we would need to know in advance so we can post that. So is there anyone here that, Randy and I haven't talked at the timing yet. It could be like on a Wednesday at 3:30 or 4 o'clock, or if it makes things better for you guys.
Mhm.
Is there
Glenn?
any particular days you're looking at you would like to have it, or a time of the day?
Glenn and
my
Rocky.
calendar's open now till
Okay.
end of April.
So Glenn and Rocky would be 2. If we keep it at 2, then,
No, I'll be good.
okay, so 3, then we
All
will,
you gotta do is a board, or what is it I'm trying to say?
Quorum?
There'll be a quorum present, but no action will be taken.
yeah, so we'll post that with no action taken.
Yeah.
Okay. Got that, Linda?
A quorum may be present, but no
Or maybe
action.
present.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good. Thank you.
There's a number of things on the budget update that I just wonder, are those things that will be coming forward on our future budgets? From
Yes.
transportation needs and,
Well, this is all preliminary.
okay.
Oh, yeah, the bigger picture?
Yeah.
That's what we'll show, that's what we're gonna meet on. The group is gonna meet on all those items.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the preliminary budget in April, that's what we were bringing forward.
We've got some these maintenance issues brought forward about the Bayfield School and the LaPointe School. Those are big conversations.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, any further discussion? If not, all in favor of accepting the reports,
Aye.
signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, financial accounting, let's do the vouchers.
I will make a motion that we approve the vouchers totaling $491,559.16.
Second. Beat you.
Who's got that second? Nicole? Larry did, okay. Okay, roll call, please.
Nicole Boyd? Yes. Larry Garrigan?
Yes.
Glenn Carlson?
Yes.
Cindy Garrity?
Yes.
Craig Poopman? Deb Knopf?
Yes.
Rocky Triplett?
Yes.
All right, we move into general business. 10.1, consider strategic planning proposal from Strandberg and Associates.
All right, Finance Committee and Policy Committee met last Thursday. There are 3 options provided to us from Mr. Strandberg, option 1, 2, and 3. And we, as an administration and as committees, looked at number 3, the more comprehensive
I agree.
approach.
Motion to approve.
15,000.
I'll second.
Motion made, carried, and seconded. Any discussion on that?
I just have one point that I want to make, which we talked about at the finance meeting. And that was to get together with Mr. Strandberg before he starts and try to refocus this on more of a comprehensive plan, feeling that the strategic plan, the pillars and the primary elements of it are still relevant and still don't need to be, really revisited, but more looking at implementation and exactly what kind of things we're going to do to advance those 4 pillars.
And I recall doing more of that when Dave Aslan was here, or when we first started this process, the last 5-year plan, and that involved assigning an administrator and a board member to each of those pillars. Thank you. And then other people could, those 2 people could select anybody else they thought in the district that would be helpful, and then picking, looking at the particular tasks that the board had set forth and figuring out what we needed to do to go forward with those. So I think getting that in place again so we can actually see movement and see us accomplishing things is a really beneficial process to that.
But on number 1 and 2, he kind of has that process in place
Okay.
to create that and gather input.
All right. So we got a motion and a second. We would need a roll call on this. Linda?
Nicole Boyd? Yes. Larry Garrigan?
Yes.
Glenn Carlson?
Yes.
Cindy Garrity?
Yes.
Craig Poopman? Deb Knopf?
Yes.
Rocky Triplett?
Yes.
All right, and we go to 10.2, new business. Consider the education MOU with Bayfield, the Ashland Schools, and MMC. Who wants to talk about that?
So move.
Second.
Nope.
No, Nicole can have that one, Linda.
All right.
Who had the first?
Rocky.
Who had the second?
Nicole.
Nicole.
Okay, discussion.
We went through this a lot at the Finance Committee meeting, and I think we're pretty sold on the idea.
It's a good opportunity for a day treatment for children who are really at the tier 3 beyond our capacity. And it's a referral program that parents have an option for,
Right.
that we now have something beyond our system.
Great.
For kids to go over to Ashland for whatever mental health, physical health they need, and also they'll be provided academic education at the treatment center. And it's insurance-based, so there's no cost to the district. Am I right on that, other than the $85 per day cost, is there, Missy?
Yes, that's for the educational services.
Yep, services,
So the mental health services are paid through third-party billing from insurance. The educational piece is $85.
So where do the referrals come from? From you folks?
Yes. Or parents,
Okay.
So just depends. In this case, it was a referral, both, it was a dual agreement, we should say. There were parents advocating for more intensive supports that we couldn't necessarily provide, and we went out and said, here are some opportunities within the community that are some resources, and they liked the opportunities.
So is this a fairly new program that's?
Very new.
Very
This
new,
is- So
okay.
Ashland received a large grant. I think this is their third year of implementation of designing the program itself, the model, I should say, and they're slowly introducing it to other districts. They
Okay.
piloted with their school last year. This year it's just offered to K-5 students, and they're hoping to expand to middle school and then high school eventually. So they're slowly increasing services.
So is this just for is this for just K-5?
Just
for-
K-5 right now.
For us,
Mhm.
okay, okay.
And other area districts, so it's open to like the CISA 12 region schools right now.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
And I have flyers if you guys want, these would frequently ask questions if you want to take some for more information.
Thanks.
Okay, we vote to approve that then?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, motion to, we got the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 10.2.2, the high school dual credit policy review and middle school language.
All right. we'll start.
Motion, well, it's
Oh, go
again,
ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. Can I have a motion?
Second.
Nicole and Rocky, okay, discussion.
I see in the paragraph here, it says that students who are taking dual credit classes at Bayfield High School are not eligible for federal financial aid. So what does that mean? I mean, if they take the two, they can't apply?
Correct. But yeah, you have to be over high school for that. So what we have here, we currently have a policy for, kids going to youth options, where kids go on their own to go to WITC or college. And so if you look at the bottom, the credit for middle school students, we started that around 3 years ago, where we brought in algebra to the 8th grade. And so tonight what we'll do is we'll determine, or your motion will allow the students who are taking algebra in 8th grade, the grade they receive will count towards their GPA when they get into high school. So if they get an A or a B, whatever that is in 8th grade, that will count towards their GPA as they enter into high school. And it'll also count as a math credit. So that's a good thing, allowing 8th graders to do that. And up on top, you'll see dual credit, and this is new this year. It says 1 semester equals 0.5, and we talked about this at the policy meeting the other night, equals 3 credits. Well, currently under the youth options program, it's, if you take 3 credits at the college level, you'll get 1 credit at the Bayfield school. So up there on top, if you see on the top of your page, it says 0.5. I talked to Dan Livingston today, and at the policy meeting on Thursday, we wanted to make that correction. And it should say one Bayfield High School equals, credit equals 3 college credits. So
Got it.
that would be, we would clear that up if approval tonight, so.
So it'd be the same then
It'd
as
be the
youth
same, we
option.
want to make it universal, the same.
This is a voluntary program?
It's an elective.
All right, you ready to?
So that the district pays only for kids that enroll, and they pay a reduced amount to the college, because otherwise the college doesn't pay for the instructor, but they get paid for the kids to enroll, and the district pays for the instructor. So the kids are getting a high school credit and a college credit, but the district is paying a reduced rate to the college.
Okay.
And then for the early college credit program, district gets reimbursed at a stage for any kids that take that.
How come it wouldn't be the same then for dual credit?
Because it's taught here at our
Okay.
school, they have to actually be taught outside of the district and not by a teacher of the district.
Okay.
I would ask for that motion if we could just clear the change to 0.5 to 1.
Is there a motion yet on the table?
Yep.
There is.
Why are we changing that to 1? Because we had a meeting where we said it was a half a credit.
Mr. Livingston informed me today in our policy committee that met last Thursday, we want to make it universal, 3 to 1.
I'm not understanding why it's different than an off-campus course. If it's a college course, it's a college course.
We met as, there was 4 of us that met as staff, and we talked about the rigors, different hour requirement when they go to Northland. It might be a 1 or 2 hour lecture, but they have 3 to 6 hours of homework. Where here, it's a 42-minute class period, 5 days a week. And we looked at several schools, dual credit, and that was what they had on theirs.
And Dan was there?
And what is happening now is we'll have kids graduating early, which is great for them, but then we have to look at our FTEs, we won't need.
We discussed that too. We did discuss that. But we're not seeing a lot of students enrolling in this program right now. I think there was 4 last semester out of the high school. So I'm just bringing forward what we discussed at the policy committee and what Mr. Livingston brought forward. So we want to make it universal across 3 to 1. So.
Well, I'd like to move that we table this for further discussion by the administrative
Since there
team.
seems to be a little bit of
there's a little confusion, so I'd move
confusion.
to table it.
Then we're gonna have to rescind the first motion to bring it to discussion.
We didn't vote on the first
We didn't
motion.
vote, we just had, it just had in discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in discussion, but we made a motion to
Right.
accept and.
So we have
And
to
a second.
rescind that motion.
Well, no,
to
a
rescind.
motion to table supersedes
Wait, we
the
gotta
original
rescind
motion.
the past motion and second first, then revote.
Okay,
Because during discussion, it brought out new light.
sure.
I think I made the motion, didn't I? I rescind the motion.
Send my second. Second the table.
No, we gotta go all in favor to rescind the
Oh,
motion.
all in favor to
Aye.
rescind the first motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New
I move to
motion.
table.
Motion is on to table. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Provide some
Aye.
writing from that group?
Opposed? Motion carries. Oh. All right, we have 10.3.3, our roofing RFP,
I'd like to
architect.
ask, before I make a motion to table, I'd like to ask the board, and the reason I'm gonna make the motion is that reading this, there's conflicting information back and forth. This is not apples to apples. And I'd like to ask the board just give me the liberty to talk to Grazina and to CNS Design to clarify some things, because they're not apples to apples.
Oh, has Dave been
And
involved?
if we need to expedite this, we can have a quick meeting prior to the next board meeting.
Absolutely.
And then I'd like to say that, once I talk with them, there's always an opportunity that we can select some services, but when we go to bid, you can do design bid. Design build, that means the contractor has the ability to do the designing himself and bid the project as a whole. But this opens the door for other contractors to bid it too. But you give other contractors, like you take the Myrons or this custom foam or whatever, they have the abilities to do their own design.
Oh,
But you have to advertise it as such, design build. We can put it in there and say, once I get their language together to find out what the cost is gonna be to the district on apples to apples, then when you go to advertisement, I'll tell both of them, we may do this, I can't speak for the board, but to offer bidding as contractors, as roofers only, and design build contractors also.
Okay.
So I make a motion to table.
They can't do anything right now because of the snow?
A
Right.
second.
Motion to table, second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And I'll get back with
Motion's
David
tabled.
and Jeff next week.
All right. 10.2.4, 2018-19 school calendar.
All right. Many snow days this year so far. There's 6 of them, I guess, so far. So what we did is we revised this year's current calendar. And we made the changes to be applicable to how many minutes we need for our students for a full year. And this calendar has those changes. If you look in April, the 5th and the 19th, those are full days. Look to the right side of it. And then, let's see, full day on June 7th. In the yellow, I'd say. So, this is for the completion of this year. However, there's another storm coming in. I don't know if you looked at the weather lately. There's a major storm coming in right now through the Rockies. In the plains, it'll be there
That's rain.
Is that the rain that's
Yeah.
coming?
Tuesday through Thursday.
Yeah.
But
We could get up to an inch of rain.
we're on that cutoff for sleet and everything else.
Oh, my gosh.
So who knows? But this is the current, revision.
And also updating 5 minutes per day, right?
Yeah, starting on March 18th, we're gonna add 5 minutes in the morning to the schedule. And I do want to say this, Mr. Iverson's in the audience tonight, and if you've noticed, Mr. Iverson, the BEA president, he's been present for a lot of meetings. We appreciate him coming to the policy meeting, we appreciate him coming to the finance meeting, and we did a survey to all of our teachers and staff on these revisions, particularly on April 19th, that's Good Friday. And we surveyed all of our staff members, and the majority of individuals wanted that day off versus adding it on at the end of the year. So we are communicating with our staff, we're trying to be transparent, and I know Eric is involved in all that stuff, so. This is the current revision. We'd like to have motion tonight for the remaining of the school year this year.
Is it for the rest of the school year adding that 6 minutes in the morning?
Yes.
Or March 18th?
March 18th. It starts.
And then you're still in the process of determining whether you'd add back April 19th or add
Nope,
June 10th?
that's already decided,
In
yep.
addition?
April
Oh,
19th
that's
is
in
decided
addition?
tonight. Yep, that's on there tonight. We will have school on the 19th beyond.
Okay, so are there teachers who will be expected to cancel travel plans, or what is that?
No, what we
about?
did is, talking to the BEA, they're gonna work with their supervisors, which is, Shelley, Missy, and Randy, and if there's prearranged trips, we're gonna try to accommodate, with substitute teachers, we're gonna try to accommodate within the building, but it is a work day.
And they would then have to take a holiday day or a vacation day?
They would still take their personal, yeah. They would.
So it wouldn't be a freebie?
No, no. Is that correct? Does that sound right, Eric?
Personal day, right, they
Yep.
have to
Or no
Yes.
day?
Yep, or no.
I guess not holiday.
Not a holiday, if it's a work day.
So the next snow day, we'd have to add on another 5 minutes in the beginning of the day, or add on at the end of the year. We have no other choices beyond that right now,
Wow.
so.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion regarding this action for the school calendar of 2018-19?
Maybe subject to change, but motion to approve.
Motion to approve, second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 10.2.5, 2019-2020 school calendar.
So what I'd like to do is open this one up to Shelley and Missy. Shelley was the coordinator working with staff on this calendar. This is a proposed calendar for the next school year.
This one
So looking at it, the yellow highlighted, there are 8 in-service days. That would 178 student days
I
with
had
8 in-service days would equal to
salty
186
chicken
contract days that the staff has. We did ask as administrators that they take the full week of November off for
Vicky from last
Thanksgiving
night, but I
because
wasn't
of
hungry.
the attendance issues we had on the Monday, Tuesday.
With that
We also asked for
country sausage
October 4th
mix, whatever
as a
it was.
full day of
It was
no
good, but it had a
students
little salty.
because of typically Thursday is the wristband at the carnival and the kids, we had a high attendance issue on the 4th because of the local community activities happening late into Thursday night, so that was honored. We did add in 3 extra early release days. We have the 4 that are still the end of quarter, so teachers have the afternoon for professional prep of
I can see
getting
them.
report cards done. But then we found a lot of value in having 2-hour in-services that are relatable to the teacher's situation, whether it's SLO or what have you, whatever we're working on. So we added 3 early release in-services as well. I believe the only change, the teachers that we had from the teachers, change in the January 6th in-service day to January 20th. Otherwise, a lot of that, this was created by the committee and then voted on by the BEA.
Did you put the weather forecast in there too?
There'll be no snow days next year. We'll get snowmobiles for teachers.
I do want to highlight one area on here that's going to be, there's 2 areas I wanted to highlight.
yeah.
That, first of all,
That's what I
Shelley,
said, forecast.
BEA, Eric, we all agree to this one, correct? Everyone was involved. So there's just 2 areas that are different. The first one for Apple Fest weekend. The students won't be here on the 4th or the 7th, the Friday, Monday. And the reason for that is, in the past, that Friday has been one heck of a day. There are kids and staff in and out of the building. It's not very productive. It's just not a good instructional day. So they're making good judgment by not having kids here on that Friday. And on Monday, traditionally, the kids were not here. We always had staff come in. The staff will be here for an in-service day. So that will be one change. And I think that's good. I think from an instruction standpoint, an academic standpoint, we want kids that are going to be here fully invested without working on a stand in Bayfield.
No.
And the second one would be November for Thanksgiving. We used to have, well, not used to, just the last couple of years, we'd have staff here on that Monday, Tuesday for in-service. This schedule, they won't be here. There won't be anybody here that week, except for admin. And Randy raised her hand, and Chris. But again, you know, if you look at that, that's 2 days of in-service for staff development. A lot of staff members are on vacation, they're out of the building. So again, not very productive. So let's make it productive, so nobody will be in that week.
Is the start and end time of the?
That's
two days
Thanksgiving
the
week,
same?
right? Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
The start and end time?
Yeah.
Holy week, deer season.
Yeah, so those would be the 2 critical changes that are
The
different.
start and end time stays the same, so it gives us the 3 days, emergency days or snow days, and we would still meet the minutes.
All right, is there a motion to approve
So
this
moved.
calendar? Rocky. Oh, Eric, yes.
May I just say something?
Sure.
You guys coming back on January 3rd, that Friday, and I'm wondering, you know, how many people are gonna be wanting to come back for that 3rd? I know that, I just wondered how many students or staff, the staff will be here, but I'm just wondering about the.
That's an in-service
Yeah.
day,
Staff.
Eric?
So that isn't. a-
Only,
okay,
only
so-
staff.
Yep.
That fit your needs? Okay.
So
Okay.
this run by all of your teachers too, this calendar year? Or is this something that, because it seems to me like in the past, there used to be 2 or 3 options. And I
They
don't
had
see
4
that.
options to
Yep.
start.
Pardon me?
They did have 4 options to start with, and they
Well,
voted them
this is
down.
it today.
Yep.
Okay,
That's
fine.
it.
Is that a second?
Okay.
All right, any further discussion or comments? All those in favor? All those, any opposed? Motion carries. 10.2.6, 2019-2020 CISA 12 Shared Services Contract Renewal.
So admin met today, administrators met today, and these are the services we acquire yearly from CISA. Very similar to the past years. We did add on physical therapy next fall. We added on for the full year, and if there's another vendor out there in the future that comes forward, then we'll look at it. But right now, what we want to do is just make sure we have it on the budget for next year, for the whole year.
That we're covered.
That we're covered. I have the admin here. Randy, was there anything that you wanted to discuss about the CISA contract, or?
They didn't give us a total for the PT for next year, so I just kind of looked at previous years. They just had a half a year in there, so I put 58,000. I think that was pretty safe for us.
I thought last time we discussed this physical.
That's when you brought up,
thing.
it was pretty pricey.
Yeah, well, no, I
What
mean,
it
that's
is.
prior to that, canceling the thing with Redcliffe, but.
Postponing.
Postponing. Because I understand that Redcliffe is in the process of trying to hire another physical therapist. So I guess this is a definite, I mean, even if we prove this is not a definite thing, we can allow out of a.
It's a contract, so I think it is, right?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways we can, I called Ken Kaczynski today. And so, you know, we could look at a 6-month price, and then if Redcliffe comes through in the summertime or the fall and says they've hired somebody, there's something there we can go on. But our concern at the admin level was we were anticipating them doing it, but they haven't hired anybody yet, I don't believe. But when they do and they come forward, then we can definitely talk about it.
Well,
But
I don't
right
know.
now, we need to really focus on.
That might happen for, the following year.
Mhm.
Because we make an investment. We got guidelines to follow, federal laws to follow.
I understand that.
And we gotta fulfill that obligation first. I agree with you. But just because somebody is trying to get up and running, that's not an insurance policy for this district. CISA also has to look at hiring somebody, and they have an investment.
No, they got somebody hired already.
Well, yeah, but not
the point-
dedicated.
the point is
Not
this.
dedicated 100%, Larry, to the school
The
district
point
of
is this,
Bayfield.
though. I just want to make a point, that we tabled that for a reason, because we were anticipating something happening, and if it did happen, we would have that opportunity to enter into that. No, if you enter into this for 6 months, then we're going to be stuck with it for 6 months. We're into it now for $35,000, and we're not going to get 6 months service on it. What the hell is 6 month service going to look like?
I'm gonna have to redirect here. When we discussed some of this, that was an executive.
Correct.
Well, no, when we came out of the executive, we talked about
I know,
this.
but what we talked about, as far as the process.
Well, I just know my feelings,
Yeah.
that's it. Do you guys do what you want?
We gotta be, I make a motion that we accept it. Then we can discuss it. But keep out the part that, I think we all know what we discuss in executive. We made motions as we come out, and the motion was made that we postponed with Redcliffe.
Yeah, I was there.
No, I know, we all were.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept.
You have a second?
Oh,
No discussion.
I'm just wondering about the new services.
Where are you seeing the new ones?
On page, I don't know, creating safe and healthy schools for establishing a TSS leadership team with coaching support, what is that?
I'm sorry, where are you at, Nicole? The trauma sensitive, that's a trauma sensitive supports. So it's, I'm trying to figure out which one you want.
What theme is it on?
It's on 5.
Theme 5.
I agree with you,
Oh,
Sam.
theme farm.
I know.
I'm just upset they didn't do it right in the first place. They were ignoring this way.
The trauma sensitive schools, whole approach, so we've started doing
No, the
some-
first one first. See it?
Establishing a TSS leadership team.
The one up?
Third one down.
The 3,000 was a 4-day, trauma-sensitive leadership team. So it's 4 days of support from a CISA 12 leader coming in, to work with a leadership team within the district
Okay.
on training staff, so training trainers essentially. So they're coming in and training a leadership team to then that leadership team training staff. Does that help?
And is that different than the one near the bottom where it says just trauma-sensitive schools awareness training, and that's the $500?
Yes, so each of those new trauma ones were a little different. We felt like we've already covered the awareness training.
Okay.
So we felt the next best step was that whole school approach, bringing bus drivers, subs.
Yep.
Others in, that
Everyone.
weren't necessarily trained during our other in-service time.
Okay. Does that make sense? And that's the cost for all staff training?
No, that's for the leadership team. And
The
then they
leadership
would
team.
implement the plan.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions on some of these?
So does that get paid by the school safety grant, or no?
And the school psychologist is on there because, or
We
is he
didn't
not?
select
Oh,
it.
you did not select it, okay,
We have done.
okay. Important to look all the way to the right, right?
As an administrative team, it works really well. We sit down together and go over line by line what, we need, what services we need. And so it's really, we do our due diligence to really look at each service that we get through CISA.
But what you're looking at right now is just this amount to build into a budget. We're not really gonna accept the budget until October.
Right.
But for CISA's part, they gotta create their budget too.
Exactly.
And what's their time frame on the budget?
Their staff.
For their creation of
I
it,
don't
probably
know.
July?
Well, they do non-renewals in probably the same sequence we do.
They want our signature by April 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that,
But you're right, he's preparing his budget too.
right, but he's on the same time frame as we
Right,
are.
so this is a projected.
Now, if I was in Ken's position, I'd be looking at way early too,
Mm-hmm.
because he's income sourcing. So what I'm getting at is that, do we really have to approve this tonight, or do we have another month to go over, make some phone calls, verify what physical therapy really is gonna be?
We pushed it off a month last year because of the same thing.
Yeah. I actually talked to Mr. Kaczynski today, Ken.
Okay.
I left a message for him with that idea, that we would bring it to the board tonight. And if the board had any questions to move it into April, would he have any concerns about that? He said, no, that would be fine. If there's any questions on what we came up with.
Because right now, estimated cost is $118,000, but we don't know what physical therapy is for sure.
Right.
Right.
And we won't know, the problem, and I was saying to the admin team today, is unfortunately, we don't have hard, fast numbers, they fluctuate. So that's the difference. I know we currently have 5 new referrals that will be coming in. The likelihood of those kiddos needing PT services are pretty good. So will that number increase? Possibly. It just depends,
And it
so.
increases as we need it every year anyway. That's not a hard, fast number. It's
No, no,
based
I
on
know,
our
I know.
actual- Yeah, it's based on our actual
You can get
cost.
we'll have a better sense, but you're not, even if we contact CISA in the next month, those referrals aren't going to be done
Well,
to
it's just
get a
like-
better number, and that's 5, so you
We
can
just
already
approved,
estimate.
we just approved $58,000 that we had to take out of fund balance to satisfy physical therapy.
Mhm.
And I got added to CISA, I understand that.
Yeah.
But to fine tune this a little closer,
Mhm.
and I understand, you gotta build a budget, they gotta build a budget. Ours is expense, theirs is income.
And we just really can't afford to get behind in providing our physical therapy services, like, what
No,
happened this year. So we
absolutely not.
need to have, legally, we have to have that covered. And I hope to see something coming from Red Cliff's program so that, but we need to see that that's gonna be a solid system
month give us
in
any
place.
more- Will they be able to tell us for sure in a month
Right.
that they'll hire somebody?
I don't know, you know, I'm sure there has been no contact with them since they suspended the contract, so I guess I don't know. I don't know if it's up to me to go there and talk to
I-
these
No.
folks.
No.
I don't think so.
What I can do is I can call Mr. Kaczynski, Ken, this week and set up a meeting with him to talk primarily about physical therapy and, you know, bring something back to the board on that whole. that
Can you
item.
get any word from Red Cliff
I
about
can
their
talk to- I
process
can
and
talk
where
to
they're
them
at?
too.
We need confirmation. We know CISA's gonna deliver.
Yeah. I look at two options. Number
Sure
one,
it is.
you know, we have a 6-month budget for CISA, and with the idea that Redcliffe may come through in the summer or fall for next January.
Mhm.
Anything beyond next January, then it's a full year, because the 6 months would be in January.
Yeah.
It'd be July 1 through January, that'd be 6 months. So, or we just, part of me doesn't want to, we've had that conversation before. In my opinion, Redcliffe will come forward when they're ready,
Mhm.
and then we can make that sound decision with the admin team. You know, but from a budget perspective, you know, like Ms. Giesregan, you know, they struggled back in the fall, we struggled, you know, from a compliance perspective. And if we can just approve it for the year and then have Redcliffe come forward and let us know when their target time is, when they have the capacity to put something forward, I think it's better for all of us, including them.
Mhm.
Jeff, what is the time period for what we're looking at right now for CISA? Would it run, that 58,000, does that run through December 31st?
That was for the whole year.
For the whole year.
No,
The school year? Okay, not the calendar.
2019-20.
September through June.
And so what your suggestion would be is that we talk to them about essentially cutting that in half?
You know, we worked with Ken for many years, and if he would allow us to have that leniency, you know, and if we went to him in October and said we could be up and running in January, you know, but again, Rocky said it earlier, Ken has to hire somebody
Yeah.
for this position for the whole year, and he has to budget for the whole year, and that worker is in mind for the whole year. And that's the dilemma we're in. We're putting them in a bind too.
You know, during this discussion, we gotta look at and vote on what's reality. We need a physical therapist. We need it for 19-20 year, school year. Redcliffe, they get up and running, and, I guess I just stand on why when I made the motion, allowed to have the discussion, but stay with CISA for 19-20 school year, and when Redcliffe gets up and running, that's a 20-21 school year. And I have no problem with that.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll just conclude by this. I know that, and I could probably use some help from Missy on this. When they hire a new PT therapist and they're not DPI certified, that's a process they're gonna have to learn. And the idea that they'd have to learn that quickly, we ran into that problem last year. Let's let them build their capacity and get them ready for the full year.
I'm willing to give Redcliffe opportunity all day long, because I think they have a very good health facility. They're, you know, growing pains, everything else, in the physical therapy, whatever else, you know, therapies they have. But I stand firm in this. Call for the question.
Okay,
And so this is to sign this contract,
Yep.
basically.
we have a motion and a second to approve the CISA contract. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Is there
Roll call.
any?
Roll call.
Oh, sorry. Roll call vote.
Nicole Boyd. Yes. Lori Garrigan.
Yes.
Glenn Carlson.
Yes.
Cindy Garrity.
Yes.
Jeff Knopf.
Yes,
Rocky Triplett.
Yes.
all right. We now are ready to adjourn to executive session in accordance with Wisconsin statute 19.85.
I move we adjourn into executive session.
Second.
Is that a roll call vote too? Yeah, isn't it? Roll call.
Nicole Boyd.
Yes.
Larry Garrigan.
Yes.
Glenn Carlson.
Watch the camera. No. I don't know if we can.
Yes,
No, we don't put it back on.
say yes.